Good Friday morning, everyone. We made it 1 week down. Just under 3 more weeks to go until the Sugar Bowl. We'll get there. By the way, finals are done this week. The players will be going home for the weekend. They'll be getting a little rest, a little relaxation. That'll be a good thing. Get right with their head. Time to just kind of decompress, right? And then they'll get back and get started at it next week. Hey, this is Get Your Horns Up, brought to you by Elite Sports Memorabilia. I am Travis Gailey, joined by Orange Blood Zone Aaron Little and Nash from Texas, who loves talking them horns. Santa Nash, how you doing today?
Oh, doing all right. Hey, Texas, they won, proved that UT Junior it exists. We are the real UT, and Tennessee can go suck it.
I thought you were going to leave it at doing all right, and I was so irritated. I was like, God damn, the one day we're light on content, you're going to give a two-word answer? All right, I'm all right. You saved me. You bailed me out, though. We are light on content, by the way. All of you joining us in the Specs chat line, and I'll get to you and say hello in just a morning. It's a light Friday. It's a December. There's not a lot going on. So if you've got questions for us, throw them in the chat. We'll hopefully try and get to them. We are going to do our picks on the Army Navy game coming up a little later. We're also going to do a buy or sell in today's version. But first, a couple news and notes to look at. Nash mentioned it. Texas volleyball beats Tennessee 3-2. Tennessee actually led 2-1, and UT had to fight off match point in the fourth. But they did it. Maddie Skinner with a career-high 26 kills. Texas wins 3-2. They're moving on to the Elite Eight, where they will face Stanford. Stanford's Kip Kendall had 23 kills of her own as the Cardinals won a 4-set victory over Arizona State. Of course, this is being played in Palo Alto, because of Texas getting screwed in the conference brackets matchups, frankly. So now they've got to face Stanford on the Cardinals' home court Saturday night, 9 o'clock Central. It's going to be a tough one. Texas lost to Stanford 3-0 earlier in this season, like right off the bat. So we'll see. And I'm not saying it's impossible. Texas absolutely can win this. They have the title. They're the defending champs. They have the talent, so they absolutely can win it, but it's not going to be easy. And we've got some portal news to bring your way. 2 more Longhorns have entered the portal. They are numbers 5 and 6, if you're keeping count. Wide receiver Casey Kane. He's wide receiver Casey Kane and safety Larry Turner Gooden are the 2 new entries. Gooden, by the way, the freshman safety out of LA, had 2 games he played in with 1 tackle. It may have been like for a total of 3 or 4 snaps in the entire season. Now, granted, he's a freshman, but he's going to the portal. He's from LA. Catch always talks about this, and I think it's a brilliant point. When you're looking at potential portal entries, you always look to the out-of-state guys first. The out-of-state guys who aren't getting significant playing time, those are the first that you would look at as potential entries. Casey Kane, he's had some flashes at Texas, including 108 yards receiving against Washington last year in the Alamo Bowl. I think he's got talent. I think he could find himself in a very good situation. I also think, as thin as the wide receiver room is after this year, it's clear the coaches are looking for others to come fill the void. They're looking at portal entries of their own. So this is probably a good move for Casey Kane. But this is the first one that we've seen enter the portal where I've been like, damn, that's going to kind of suck to lose that guy. Nash, Aaron, what do you think about Casey Kane entering the portal?
Yeah, it's not, it's not great to lose a guy that clearly had some potential. It's just tough when you're on campus for a couple of years and you're trying to make an impact at, a very, a position that's always spotlighted. Everyone knows about the wide receivers. You're either producing or you're not, and he just hasn't been on the field too much. He's just gotten passed up by some younger guys, and I don't know if you would have played more next year, because Texas is going to add in the portal. You've got Jonte Cook, you've got Ryan Wingo coming in, and it's just, he's just in a tough spot. You can't blame him for anything. But it's just one of those things. It just happens. It sucks, but hopefully he can land on his feet somewhere, because I think he's definitely a player that, if he lands in a good situation for him, he's going to be able to put up some numbers and, have the career that he deserves, because he is a pretty talented player.
Yeah. I actually think he was behind DeAndre Moore already too, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Nash, your thoughts?
I mean, this gives me a little bit of a hope that I might have not had in Isaiah Nair staying on campus as a Longhorn. But I mean, I'm not sitting there betting on that happening. But,
Right.
they do play a similar position at the wide receiver. They have a similar role. So, and we'll have to see after when the spring comes around, because that's when we're going to see a lot of these guys that are wanting to stay on for a championship run. But I keep saying this, man, from what we've almost had, what the rumors are with Nayor. I mean, it's pretty clear it's been doghouse. He was getting on the field versus Rice, and then he hasn't seen the field at all since then. So something's happened in between then and now. And we've seen guys like DeAndre Moore. We've seen Jonte Cook get on the field. I feel like if he was going to portal, he would have been one of the guys that would have had done it already. There wouldn't be anything if you're in a situation where you're at odds with the coaching staff. I feel like there's no reason to wait.
Yeah, well, I don't know if he's at odds with the coaching staff or not, but it's funny you mentioned the timing. Orange Bloods did confirm with the NCAA and reported this in the War Room last night that any UT players wanting to enter the portal after the playoffs can do so. Now, remember, the portal opened and it was a 30-day window, but the NCAA has a 5-day extra leeway. Players in the playoffs have an extra 5 days to enter their names in the portal once it's done. So conceivably, someone who was wanting to enter the portal but stick around for a potential national championship run could do so.
Yeah, but you're still doing that at the risk of letting somebody else get another spot that you would have had potentially.
Sure.
So this is why I say, I think if he was going to leave, he probably would have had left already, because at that point you want to go, and it's the same concept as a coach, hiring, why you want to hire coaches, why you want to fire and hire coaches as fast as possible. You want to be able to, go search for that vacant, search for recruits instead. Same for the player. You want the player wants to be able to go search for potential schools instead.
Sure. And search for potential schools, get enrolled, get started in new classes, with the spring semester in January. It's a lot. So the timing is important.
The deadline was January 2nd for all the normal guys. So it would have been go, you win the Sugar Bowl, you celebrate with your teammates, and then you say, hey, I'm entering the portal 2 hours after the game. So that would not have been an ideal situation. So I think it's good for the NCAA to give these guys just a little bit of an extension. So if they want to stick around for a playoff game or the playoff run, and then do what they have to do, then it doesn't feel as awkward with the timing.
Yeah, they get a few nights
I agree. Do what?
They get a few nights to sleep on it. I mean, it's they get to really make up their mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, for those of you keeping track now, that's wide receiver Casey Kane, defensive back Xavier Bryce, offensive lineman / defensive lineman Sawyer Gorham Welch, and then safety Jalen Catalan, safety Larry Turner Gooden, safety BJ Allen. It's a lot of safeties, and don't forget, of course, Derek Williams has to miss the first half of the Sugar Bowl. That is a thin safety room coming into the playoffs. But of course, what the portal taketh away, the portal giveth as well. It won't help with the Sugar Bowl or the playoff run, but Clemson's safety, Andrew Makuba, the Austin native, is lined up to visit Texas next weekend. That's big news. I think this one's like all but done and dusted. He hasn't committed. Obviously, he's going to visit next weekend. But if Andrew Makuba, who has proven himself at Clemson, has been a very damn good safety going up in the ACC, if he ends up anywhere other than Texas, it'll be a stunner. I mean, it would have been like watching Iowa beat Michigan in the Big Ten championship game. That we're talking that level of confidence that he is going to be a Texan
And
Texas Longhorns.
The one thing I'll say, at least for the safeties, is these weren't guys that were already, getting snaps in games. So it's not like we're missing something that we're already getting.
Right. But it does mean you for the first half you're going to see a lot of guys like Keaton Crawford, back there. So he's going to get some playing time.
I've got an unserious portal take that just popped into my head. What if the guys in the transfer portal for these playoff teams, what if they could play in the playoff games? That would be fun, because then you've got a dynamic with the coaching staff. It's like, all right, do I want to try to force this guy into the scheme and get him caught up on everything and teach him how we play, and then throw him out there and he potentially screws up in the biggest game because he doesn't have a coverage bust in the secondary. And then you've got all these high leverage guys in the portal. It's like, all right, do I want to think long term about where I actually want to go to school and play, or do I want to go play in this playoff game? I don't know. I mean, just like I'm in between on the portal stuff. Like, I don't get that excited, or I don't get too high or too low. But if the portal guys were eligible to play in the playoffs, that would be more fun. That would excite me.
I don't think they'd allow that, because it's like that you know what that's the equivalent of Aaron? That's the equivalent of saying, you know what, hey, y'all can't trade all season long in fantasy football, but week 14, baby, trade window opens, start the trades.
Yeah, it's even worse. I mean, that's why I said I have an unserious portal take, but
Yeah,
I don't know. I think that would be fun.
But you know what they do, and by the way, and I did say do, they do allow like incoming freshmen who enroll early to participate in bowl workouts in the practices leading up to bowl games. And that leads me to another note I wanted to get to. I'll get back to the portal in just a second because I've got more portal notes. But in the Orange Bloods War Room last night, which, by the way, guys, if you're not a member of Orange Bloods, what are you waiting for? It reported last night that Jarrett Gibson, the running back out of IMG Academy, who's committed to Texas but has been taking visits to Florida, so it's kind of a shaky commitment. He is expected to be in town next weekend, the same weekend that Andrew Makuba will be doing his official visit. Jarrett Gibson is expected to be in town. Supposedly, he's also going to stick around then for an all-star game and then be on hand to enroll and start going through practices with the team. So that's a bit of good news. It looks like the Horns may have firmed up that commitment. He's the number one running back in the class. So that's very good news. Along the portal lines, another person who could very well be visiting Texas next weekend is wide receiver Antoine Juice Wells, the South Carolina wide receiver. And we talked about losing Casey Kane. That wide receiver room is thinning out. So we could see two potential wide receivers signed through the portal. And one name you really need to keep an eye on just came into the portal yesterday, Houston wide receiver Matthew Golden. He is in the portal, and UT will be very interested. He's got speed for days, 38 catches, 404 yards, and 6 touchdowns in 2023. The guy is just really damn good. That's a name to keep an eye on for sure.
I think Sark is going to get speed on this roster one way or another. I mean, if you were a fast wide receiver looking to, increase your draft stock or just have a great college season, how could you not want to play for Texas? I mean, it's completely built around speed. You're going to get good quarterback play no matter who's back there. You're going to get great play calling. I mean, like, Texas, one way or another, man, there's going to be fast guys on the field. So I'm not worried about that.
He feels like the absolute one-for-one replacement for Xavier Worthy. By the way, against Texas, he had 7 catches for 88 yards and 2 touchdowns.
I don't know if there's a one-for-one replacement for Xavier.
Well, I mean, okay, but I say that in that he will be a starting wide receiver and he will be a starter as a returner.
I mean, to be honest, I think I almost, from what we've already seen Juice Wells. We've already seen him like perform in the SEC and have 1,000-yard season. I'd almost rather take, like, if you were to tell me, hey, you get one choice, I'd almost rather choose Wells.
Well, and there's
that's fair.
Burden him
I'm not
versus
sure
Burden
they're not
Bush.
going to take both though. I think they very well could take both.
I think it would make a lot of sense. I will say that this is slightly different than the wide receivers, but maybe the main thing of the whole, from a roster standpoint of the entire offseason after we get a decision from Quinn, I don't know. I'm very interested to see what this running back room is actually going to look like because, we don't know about Jonathan Brooks yet. It kind of seems like he might end up going to the draft.
He's gone, in my opinion.
Yeah. So then, Jarrett Gibson, they've got him coming in highly rated, but then it seemed like he was going to flip to Florida, and now maybe he won't flip to Florida. You got Christian Clark coming in. A lot of people like Christian Clark more than Jarrett Gibson. Then you've got Baxter, who is like the prince who was promised, who is playing well lately. He's always kind of banged up, but he would, be the favorite. And then you got Jaden Blue, who might be the best running back out of all these guys. And the guy I'm probably most afraid to lose. Is he going to stick around? Could he potentially be like a late portal? I have no idea how this is going to shake out, but it's pretty interesting.
And then look, don't forget about Trey Wisner either. He's looked like a very promising back in the recent games that we've gotten to see him in.
Hey, speaking of Trey Wisner, by the way, this is not ESM wasn't first in the chat today, but he does have a little news and notes of his own. He's got a flash sale, Christmas flash sale. Certain players are on sale for $45 and $35 each, including shipping. By the way, I mentioned Trey Wisner because he is, of course, an ESM family member too. Brandon signed him early on. It's kind of a speculative ad, I would guess. Someone maybe you're jumping on early to hope he pans out. But there's a lot of awesome players in the ESM family, in addition to Trey Wisner, who has flashed on special teams.
I was going to say throw a couple pounds on that dude and throw him on defense. he can play on the other side.
Could be. He can hit.
He can tackle. That is for sure.
Well, you've also got guys like Xavier Worthy. You've got guys like one of my all-time favorite Longhorns, Jordan Whittington. I love the dude, but clearly, look at that. Some smart person is already jumping on this flash sale. You've got Adonai Mitchell. You've got Quinn Ewers gear in there. You've got Kelvin Banks, the new signee. Anthony Hill, the new signee. You've got Ethan Burke, who signed earlier this year. There is a lot of Tavondre Sweat, Byron Murphy. The list goes on and on and on. There's a lot of very cool, authentic Texas merchandise available for you, and this includes shipping. Come on, guys. This doesn't get any better than this. This is a Christmas fire sale, and you can jump on it today, right now, just like somebody did. Whip out your phone, scan that QR code, go take advantage of this. This will not last, and you won't find a better deal than this. I guarantee it.
Look, I may have the Santa Claus hat on, but you know what? Brandon is literally Santa Claus right now, and don't miss it. Santa Claus is coming to town.
Absolutely. Santa Claus is coming to town, and he's bringing with him a lot of burnt orange gear. Or white. If you prefer the icy whites, you can get that too. Helmets, jerseys, everything. He's got a lot going on there. By the way, I did mention the chat. Good morning to each and every one of you in the chat, including Sandman, who was first in the house. Zoe, Burn Orange Bloods is in the house. Just a Dude got the first like of the day. Oh, attaboy, Just a Dude. We appreciate everyone who hits the like button. If you're watching this, do us a favor. Throw up a like. Steven Shell's got his horns up. That's the name of the show, baby. Hook 'em horns. Says Jaime Gutierrez. Lewis Gaines checking in from Carthage. South Texas man. Jay Archer. Good morning from Windermere, Florida. That's not bad. And Sandman replying again. Tennessee orange. He doesn't like it.
That is more yellow than orange, but.
And Stoopsified appreciated your suck it comment. So there you go. Look at that. Bringing Sooners and Longhorns together. That's what this show does. Peace and harmony in the time of Christmas.
I mean, Stoops. I mean, he's got to get those San Antonio restaurant recommendations from all the Texas fans because how the turntables have turned. But yeah, he's. I mean, it's unfortunate the Texas fans can give him recommendations for many trips to the Alamo Bowl. But hey, now the Sooners are going to be able to check out the scenes down there.
And hey, they will finally get to see. Hey, this is the contribution that Tennessee has given to Texas, the Alamo.
And Stoops is all in for a Texas-Alabama rematch in the national title game. I love it. I'm all in for that as well, Stoops. By the way, my Sooner in-laws, I have my wife's family. They're all Sooners.
Ooh,
you can't help.
So you're like a Shane Buechele.
Oh, we are a house divided. I mean, my family are all Horns, all Texans, 8th generation Texan. Going back, I have an ancestor.
It's not a Shane Buechele situation where you're the lone Longhorn and everyone else is.
No. I'm not. It's her family are the Sooners. Mine are Texans. But again, you can't help who you fall in love with. Her sister and brother-in-law live in San Antonio, so I'm betting they will end up being at that game. Just saying. And by the way, thank you, Huntington Beach. Golden is a 10-8 guy, 10-8 100. Worthy at 10-5. That's pretty damn close. We're doing a buy or sell today, guys. And I see several of you have already thrown a buy or sell into the chat. Let's go ahead and hit those. Sark After Dark with the first one. Michael Pennix Jr., buy or sell, is winning the Heisman. Gives the Texas D extra motivation to shut him down. Aaron, you want to go first?
I would sell because I don't think he's winning the Heisman unless the odds have just shifted in a major way that I have not seen. I still believe Jaden Daniels is going to win the Heisman. I think Jaden Daniels should win the Heisman. Extra motivation to shut it. I mean, me and the extra motivation when it comes to this Texas team. It would be hilarious if Texas.
That's why I went to you first.
If the Texas defense had a nice day against Michael Penix, he's got like 250 yards passing, maybe an interception, like a bad day, and Texas wins. And then we just log on to Twitter after the game and Byron Murphy, you gave this bum-ass quarterback the Heisman? Like, what are you guys talking about? Like, this is insane. Like, just completely slandering the guy after winning a Heisman trophy. That would be funny from Byron Murphy. I would expect nothing less at this point. You shouldn't need extra motivation at this point in the playoff game, but hey, we know they're going to find it somehow. So I guess can't rule it out completely.
Honestly, at this point, I think Byron Murphy's trolling everybody. Like Byron Murphy. Look, I understand second team All American's not the same as first team, but he's like out there like he gets the second team All American award and he goes, "Oh, I'll show them." Like the 12, like 1/1/2024. Like put the date down. Does the same thing that he's been doing the last 2 weeks. So, yeah, I think that honestly. It's more like so. I'm going to sell on this one because I think it's more likely that Penix loses out on the Heisman, and that actually could play a role into maybe he has a little bit of extra motivation, saying, "You know what, y'all should have given me the Heisman." So I'm going to sell on that one.
Look how you flipped that on Sark After Dark. You said no.
This is something that I thought about for a couple days now.
Right. I think it's a good point, actually.
Because Jaden Daniels, if Jaden Daniels doesn't win the Heisman, then just go ahead and with how the Heisman's been the last 10 years, where we've had a few years where it's just like a complete just joke. It's like, you know what? If Jaden Daniels doesn't win, just stop tuning into the award. It doesn't matter. You might as well be watching the Herbies.
Yeah, I'm selling it as well. First off, for the simple reason it is going to be Jaden Daniels winning, and had Bo Nix had a good Pac-12 championship game, he would have won. I think it really came down to just that one game.
Well, I also think that game came too late because at that point most people already have their ballots submitted.
It takes 5 seconds.
I understand it takes 5 seconds, but most people already submit their ballots prior to.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty much like
I don't.
If you go and if you go and you watch and you look at if you go and look at the last over the years, the conference championship games, they don't really affect the voting outcome that much, and it's because most people have already submitted their ballots. I mean, this
Well,
is why Bijan Robinson had absolutely no chance to even become a finalist last year, despite he could have had an amazing finish, all that stuff. But the ballots are most. You got to realize the sheer number of people that they go and put out ballots to. Like some of these people are not serious
the
people.
finalists get announced before the conference championship games. Like the finalists this year were announced before that because it's going to be Marvin Harrison Jr. and the 3 quarterbacks.
And you have to have the votes to know the
finalists. The ballots.
You have to.
All the Heisman voters I've seen did not submit them before.
I mean, you got to have the votes. You got to have the votes to be able to know the finalists. So that's just kind of goes to what I'm saying right there.
I don't know.
I mean, you can't because how do they? What if they announce the finalists and then the votes come in and they're a completely different set of finalists? That doesn't make sense. It's like so. This is just it is like I mean we're talking there are literally hundreds of voters out there for the Heisman.
Yeah, it's like 800.
Yeah, so I mean it's like there's a lot of people that put theirs in early on.
But
and I'm not saying when I say early on, I'm not sitting here talking about like October, like early no. I'm saying like mid to late November is when they start doing it, and then they like the first week of December is usually most people have already submitted.
I'm just saying, now that they're electronic, I think I don't know. The voters I've seen, they all wait. But if they submitted it early, Bo Nix might have a shot, but I think Pennix would be third out of that quarterback list. Jaden Daniels is going to win it, so I'm going to sell. And yeah, I kind of like Nash's idea that might give Pennix a little more motivation, a chip on his shoulder, kind of like Vince Young had, who still, I say, got robbed. All right, Burn Orange Blood with the next buy or sell. Buy or sell, we get at least 2 players from A&M in the portal. I'll go first on this one, and I'm going to sell. I don't see it happening. I don't know that Texas can afford the one player they probably really would take in Walter Nolan. I know there's a lot of Aggies in the portal, including the latest entry was Chase Basantis, the freshman tackle, which, by the way, if Texas didn't have just a studly offensive line room already, he would be one I would definitely want to target, but I wouldn't take him over Cam Williams. I wouldn't take him over Kelvin Banks. So who would he supplant, right? So, but Chase Basantis is real good. No, I'm going to sell. I'm not sure how many players from A&M come to Texas, and I don't think it will be 2 or more.
Yeah, I think you have to sell at this point. It doesn't seem like Walter Nolan. It doesn't seem like it's like, completely, you can't even think about it, but that doesn't seem like it's going to happen. Evan Stewart has never really seemed like it's going to happen if he officially enters. I don't know. I think Texas is, it would be great if they just got a bunch of Aggies just to kind of stick it to them. But I think they're looking at the very specific needs on what they need on their team as they should. So I'll have to sell at this point. But hey, maybe, it's a new day, fellas. Maybe just more Aggies will just start flooding the portal and there will be a good fit eventually.
Look, I think this is going to be like we're in a year. It's Evan Stewart sitting there tweeting about what a horrible offense, and it's like you could have transferred again, but you chose not to. You chose to stay at A&M. You chose to stay in that dumpster fire. So, I mean, honestly, at a certain point, we got to start looking at maybe there's some giant red flags if you're choosing to stay in College Station.
Maybe there's some giant red flags if you choose to go.
Yeah, I mean, in the first place, it's a massive it's already it waves some red flags. So,
well, you know what? That leads us to this. Not exactly a buy or sell, but Jay Archer asked, "Is Texas going after Stewart?"
If he enters the portal, yes, yes.
I don't know. I don't know if they do.
He will.
And I say that just because he's a little scattered, right? You go back and look at his recruiting. He was kind of all over the place on the recruiting map. He was going to commit here one time and there one time. I mean, he's just he marches to his own drum, to the beat of his own drum. And I'm not sure Texas will want to go after him. I mean, clearly he's talented. There's no denying that. He is talented. But I don't know. If this were a buy sell, I would sell. And Nash would buy. What would you do, Aaron?
No, I mean, I would sell that they're Well, if they're going to go after him, I think they would try to go after him. There's been talk about culture stuff, but I still think like when the guy's this good, they would think about it, but I don't think it would happen. So I would sell on it happening. I would buy on them, talking to him.
Yeah, I'm there with Aaron.
All right. Final buy or sell question coming in from the chat is Gabriel Aguilar.
I love this one.
Buy, sell. It will be acceptable for me and my buddies and I to cry happy tears if we win the national championship.
That's a buy.
Nash, why don't
I mean,
you start?
that is a buy. You are crying over sports is allowed. I mean, that's pretty much the only thing I cry about these days is sports. Happy tears only. I don't have. If I cried sad tears as a Chargers fan, then I wouldn't have any tears left. But I only cry happy tears. But yeah, I mean, when the Diamondbacks beat the Phillies, I cried for like an hour. Like I was a mess. Like it was just completely shambles. Tears of joy are a big part of sports. That's when you know you're a diehard, man. So yeah, if Texas wins the national championship, you guys are definitely allowed to cry. So yeah, you'll be fine in my books.
I'm definitely more of the yeller than the crier. I'm the guy that like I absolutely lose I lose it all. I know we're talking about football here because, but I would like I could potentially have the cops called on me. I'm gonna say that Stanford game when we came back and Dylan Campbell, right? Like when he hit that when he threw that dude out at third base.
That was a good one,
dude. I actually almost broke my TV. I was so pumped up by that. I'm like, Dylan can probably hear me from California right now.
Buy or sell, Nash gets the cops called on him if Texas wins the national.
Buy that. I mean, like, well, here's the deal. I'm if we go to the national championship, I'm going to that because I'm not going to. I did not make the cut to New Orleans, and this is actually really cool. This is the record for the most amount of ticket requests that Texas has had in the postseason. This 10,000 tickets more than the national championship in 2006, and then also 11,000 more than the championship in 2010. So
it helps that it's close.
No, but this is for the Sugar Bowl. It could be higher. It could be higher for the national championship. So
it absolutely will be. I'm saying it helps that it's close. Like the road, it's easier to get to New
absolutely.
Orleans.
And Nash, I think I'm there with you. I mean, obviously the championship game's in Houston. I'm not going to New Orleans. If they're in the championship game in Houston, I have a hard time imagining myself not finding.
I'm just like, here's the deal. I'm not missing that, right? Yeah. Like it's like I've heard people talk about the feeling of joy being out in California when Vince Young won, and like just celebrating with all the Longhorn fans out there. I know it won't necessarily be the same, but there will also be a special feel if this does happen, man. Right? We're talking about all that we've gone through as Texas fans. All that we've like the mountains that we've climbed at that point. It would be a special moment as a Texas fan that I don't think we could go to 5 national championships in a row, right? And none of them would ever be like if this does happen, none of them would ever be like the first one that we get.
I'm with you. I was there in Pasadena.
and please. Go buy the jerseys so that Brandon can go to the game.
Exactly. By the way, I'm for Gabriel's buy or sell. I'll buy it. You can absolutely cry, but I won't cry. It's just one of those things. I don't tend to cry over sports. Unlike that. No. Now I will cry at a really sappy movie or even a sappy commercial, for Christ's sakes. I'm not above crying. I don't think your man card gets pulled if you cry.
No, I watch this be a thing where the camera cuts to Jonathan Brooks and it just absolutely saps Travis up and he starts crying.
It could be. I might be puddles at that point. If Jonathan Brooks is on the field for the last play of the national championship victory, maybe I might be puddles. But I'm more like you in that I get excited, I yell, you know what I mean? Like
it's
that's my release as opposed to through tears. But Gabriel, if you want to cry, you do it, buddy. Hey, we got another buy sell coming in from UT Parking. buy, sell. Texas wins 10 games in 2024.
I gotta look at the schedule for that one.
I mean, I don't.
Goodness.
This is a tough one early on.
I'll
Obviously,
start this one. You guys can look at the game. I'll start this one. I would conditionally, but I would buy it if Quinn comes back, and I'm selling it if he's gone. It's a tough damn schedule. Going on the road in Michigan.
You don't have faith in
Georgia
Archie?
coming here. Florida's coming. It's, there's a lot of – I know Texas has a lot of talent. If Quinn Ewers is back, I'm absolutely all in on Texas winning 10 games. But if they're rolling out a redshirt freshman Arch Manning or redshirt sophomore Malik Murphy, I don't know. That's a lot to ask.
How dare you doubt
season.
the bloodhood of the Mannings?
I mean, okay. He's still got to learn, right? He's not just all omnipotent when it comes to quarterbacking. They still have to learn the ropes.
No. He's got the blood of Archie coursing through him. He's good.
Yeah.
I think Travis's
We'll see.
answer is the correct answer. Just looking this far out, but yeah, we don't know the quarterback situation. We don't know what the roster is going to look like. That Georgia game is going to be awesome. That Georgia game's in Austin, obviously, so they could steal that one. Michigan's going to have a new quarterback next year. So
new offensive line.
I'll say this.
I'm bullish on
I'm
Texas.
actually
winning.
inclined to
I'll say
buy
this.
because I
Looking
think
at
they're
the
going to win
schedule.
one of those Michigan or Georgia games.
Looking at the schedule, there's only 3 games that I think if we lose a game outside of these 3 games, I'd be pretty upset losing one of these games. But these 3 games would be Michigan, Georgia, and Oklahoma, obviously. If we can go 1-2 out of those, then I think we win 10 games.
Well, and
I'd buy that. I'd buy that.
I'm the last guy
Texas,
to give A&M any credit, but literally anything's going to happen in that game. That is going to be.
Yes, but they're like, the bowl game aside, they're going to be lucky to field the team in 2024 as it is.
It's riveries, though. And
I understand rivalries, but they're getting decimated right now, and it's just it's a lot. Like there's just everything that's gone over with Jimbo. Like it's just like it. You know what this feels like? This feels like when we hired Charlie Strong to come in and just complete. Like we said, you know what? We need a absolute hard reset on the culture, and we need to shake everything up. I feel like that's what's happening with A&M right now.
Could be, and they do, but I don't know. By the way,
I
I'm
have more
calling my
faith in
shot right
Kentucky
now.
beating us than A&M.
I'm calling my shot right now. Texas beats Michigan on the road in Michigan.
I can see that.
It's not just a new quarterback; it's a whole new offensive line. I don't think Harbaugh is coming back. I think Texas gets a chance to go on the road and
I saw a
pick up
report
a
saying they're
big
trying to
win.
extend him.
Yeah, but I think it sounds
Of
like
course they're
Harbaugh's
trying
ready
to
to go back to the NFL. So
Yep.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
that
He
might
might
be
be my
big.
coach, unfortunately. I don't know if I want that either for the Chargers, but there's definitely some smoke there for sure.
Hey guys, you know what? By the way, speaking of crying, that's exactly what I was getting to, Aaron. Speaking of crying, if Texas does play for the national championship, whether you cry tears of joy or tears of sadness, the one thing you don't want to be without is tasty adult beverages. And not roadies. Don't do the roadies. I grew up with roadies. I understand, but I rode in the back of pickup trucks while the driver was drinking beers many a time as a kid. I get it, but those days are gone. But you can hit the road, pick up your specs, whether you're looking for craft beer, good scotch, good bourbon, fine wines, snacks, whatever you need. They got it at Specs. Grab it on the way to New Orleans or Houston. That's the way to do it. So you're stocked up and loaded. Or, hey, if you're staying at home, why not just check out the Specs app or Specs online and they can have it delivered.
No matter what you're needing, Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
Yeah, you called those roadies. We call those felonies now.
Absolutely.
Me and Aaron grew up in a different time now.
I know. That's why I'm saying.
My dad talked about how when he was underage, he got caught underage one time with beer, and the cop just said, "Pour him out." I'm like, "Well, yeah, lucky you."
That doesn't happen these
No.
days. No, absolutely. I again, when I was a kid, literally would be in the back of a pickup truck going down the highway, and not my parents, but others that I had been entrusted to, had a cooler in the front seat driving down the road drinking beer. Absolutely, that happened. And yeah, that was a different time. But we do call those felonies now, and it's a good thing. That's why, again, not advocating drinking and driving. And I do want to hit one more.
That is a good boy. That is a very good boy back there.
Just clarifying in case anyone misconstrues what I was saying. I am not an advocate of that at all. Hey, we did get one more buy or sell coming in from ESM. Buy or sell if Sugar Bowl is in hand. Sark lets Arch take the final snap in pretty much his hometown. Not just pretty much, absolutely his hometown.
I would like to sell this one.
That's
I mean, at some point, you got to let Quinn Ewers have his shine. Like, he is the guy this year. So I would like to see Quinn Ewers get the final snaps from this point out.
But I could see them having done like a curtain call for Quinn Ewers already. Like Quinn Ewers has an amazing game. Arch and because this is one of the cool things about quarterbacks is not like pitchers where if you pull them you can put them back in. Like say Malik Murphy's already replaced Quinn Ewers, right? And you want to like, and if you're and honestly I think that this would be one of the biggest signs of if Quinn Ewers is coming back or not, because if it's a situation where Malik Murphy's already in the game and Sark goes, hey, you go out there for one snap, get your get your ovation, right? That would mean, yes, after the national championship, Quinn Ewers is probably gone. And at that point, I think you could also see potentially Arch Manning. But that's just such a unique circumstance.
I do like this buy or sell, and I'm gonna buy it. But I will say, if again the game has to be really in hand,
really in hand.
Malik would take the field before Arch, and I will implore everybody at that stadium, if you're a Texas fan, please cheer for Malik the way you would cheer for Arch. That dude's deserved it. Listen, he bleeds burnt orange. He really does. He loves this university. He loves the Horns. I don't know if he's going to enter the portal or not. Again, if I were his dad, I would tell him he should. He needs to go find playing time. But I hope he gets a standing O just like Arch would, because it's coming for Arch. And I think it would be an awesome moment for Arch to get to take final snap in his hometown.
Yeah,
I think that would be
I wouldn't get your hopes up on that one too much.
I wouldn't either. It's going to be a tough game. I don't foresee it being, a game in hand situation like that, like it was against
Arch is already tied for second in the most favorite Longhorn of all time for some people. So
I know, but and listen, I love the kid too. I just cringe every time because I feel so bad for Malik. I can't help it. I'm a big Malik Murphy fan, and I want him to be able to get his own kudos. We got a couple of buy or sell questions of our own. Let me go first. I'll ask you two. Buy or sell, as I pull it up. Speaking of, Quinn Ewers gets unleashed and passes for more than 350 yards in the Sugar Bowl. Buy or sell?
350 yards. I think I'm going to buy that one. I mean, I think this is the game it's going to be. The only question here is Texas going to run the ball so much to where this isn't going to be the case? Because I think Texas can move the ball however they want on this Washington defense, the way the Texas offense is playing right now. And given Sark this much time to prepare, I think Texas is going to move the ball. I think they can throw it if they want. I think they're going to be able to run it enough if they want. But I think this game is going to be so back and forth that I would be more comfortable having the more on the 350 passing yards. So I will buy.
Yeah, I think that there's two routes that you could see this happening. One is obviously, just sitting there trading blows back and forth, a high flying passing game all around. And then also if Texas has a sizable lead, I could see that happening. The one thing that you'd have to give yourself some, faith in having it is Quinn Ewers. He's a big name. He's a big game quarterback. You look at Alabama. Yeah. Alabama the first time when they were in DKR. That's one of his best days that he's ever had with 11.2 yards per attempt. And then he had that ended he had that ended really early, and that was 134 yards in just the first quarter. Oklahoma, he goes for 289 yards, and that was we were up so far early that he was pulled out by the time the third quarter came. Then you go and you look at Washington last year. Washington, basically the same team that we're going to play. He 369 yards last year. Alabama this year 349 yards. Oklahoma 346. Oklahoma State 402. So honestly, I'm going to buy that because if you're talking about big games, Quinn Ewers has at least been in that area or better more often than not.
Yeah. I by the way, I would buy my own question here. The whole point of my column this week on orangebloods.com was this is now Quinn's team. I think Sark has turned the ball over to Quinn to help carry this team. Before it was the defense carrying a game or two and Jonathan Brooks carried a game or two. I think this is Quinn's team. And it's been well documented now. We've talked about it ad nauseum. UW's pass defense is like 122nd in the country. I think Quinn has a big game, and I 100% agree with you that Quinn is a big game player. He shines brightest when the most is on the line, which I think speaks well of his character.
I think Quinn is. I think this has been, and I know what you're saying. Like I think the ball has been in Quinn's hands. I think mainly it's just Sark really wants to be balanced, and I don't think. I think if Washington allows him to, he's going to still try and he's going to try and run the ball. He's going to be balanced.
Absolutely. But the difference here is as opposed to running the ball to set up the pass, I think he's letting loose a little more to get spread the defense out with the passing game to open up the run game. So we've seen it the last two games, Texas Tech and Oklahoma State. Those are Quinn games, and I think Washington's going to be a Quinn game too. Aaron, why don't you give your next buy or sell?
All right, my first buy or sell. You have faith in the red zone offense in this matchup. We know, looking at touchdown percentage in the red zone, Texas is at the bottom, like 130 out of 133 in touchdown percentage in the red zone, but a lot of time to prepare for this one. It's a nice matchup. So, Travis, go ahead.
Yeah, along the lines of letting Quinn cook, I'm going to buy this. I don't love it, but I'm going to buy this because when they've gotten in the red zone and they've actually tried to pass the ball, they've looked better than when they stack the line of scrimmage and, go to try to just bully their way in with the 1 and 2 yard rushes. That's when they failed in the red zone. Every time they do that, they just haven't clicked in that. So I think Sark's gotten a little more creative recently, and they've been passing the ball. They've been spreading the defense out a little more, as much as you can in the red zone. That's, it's harder, but they've done it. And of course I have every ounce of faith in Adonai Mitchell in the red zone. So I'm going to buy that this is a good matchup for the Texas red zone offense.
I'm buying the heck out of this because Steve Sarkisian to me, and this is going to be one of my I plan on expanding on this a lot more in the future weeks as they come along. But Steve Sarkisian, he's a very competitive guy. Like he's shown that to be true. And honestly, you don't stay a relevant coach for this long. Through multiple eras of football. He was an elite mind back in the early 2000s, and he still is an elite mind now on the offense. Like Aaron said, you're just when you give that guy a lot of time to think of things. This is you throw the kitchen sink at him, right? There's literally nothing left to save for, right? It's not even a situation where, maybe like if you could even try to conjure up some quackhead, fantasy where Steve Sarkisian's saving a play for next year for 2024 for the real run, right? But this is the year. Red zone, Aaron, you mentioned the red zone opponent red zone scoring percentage. Texas it's been well documented. 119th in the nation, 49.09%. Washington is 118th in the nation on defense when it comes to allowing the touchdowns, 70.45. I think Steve Sarkisian is going to be able to abuse that. when you go with allowing him to have this much creativity, or really time to get get some creative plays going. I'm buying this twice on Sunday.
And they're going to have time to practice all of these plays so many times. Like the execution is going to be perfect. And I think this is the game. I mean, I think this is the Texas. If Texas scores touchdowns in the red zone, I think they're going to win this game because I just think they have the better defense and both offenses are going to move the ball. And I just think Texas is going to be better in the red zone on both sides. So I think this is going to be the game, and I think Sark is going to come through in this spot.
And I would honestly, I know this is just a quick piggyback. Buy or sell, Aaron, because we already got it from Travis. Buy or sell, Adonai Mitchell doesn't get a touchdown.
Sell. I think he's going to score. Yeah,
because here's
why this guy was brought in to score touchdowns in the playoffs.
I understand, but I think that this is I think that this might be one of those things where Steve Sarkisian, right, but this also might just be like one or two plays out of the whole lot of them. I feel like there's just going to be some play where it's like Steve Sarkisian is obviously trying to say, "Hey, here's Adonai. He scores."
I don't know if it'll be the first one, but I think
over Adonai. Leave a nice matchup on Jatavian Sanders or Worthy. Why don't you?
I mean, he's definitely be a decoy at some point, but there could be 8 touchdowns to go around. So he's going to get one.
I mean, and also Adonai is such a good route runner too.
Adonai is Chris Carter reincarnated. I mean, all he does is score touchdowns. Nash, give us your buy or sell.
Okay, let me get to it. So my first buy or sell. Texas has 8 players drafted in the first 3 rounds.
I mean, that's got to be a sell.
I'm gonna sell.
Right? That's the first 3 rounds.
Right now.
All right. I just pulled up the too deep. So let's go through it.
Well, I'll list off the names because this is off PFF.
All right, but Xavier Worthy's for sure in the first 3 rounds, right?
Yes.
Jatavian Sanders and Quinn Ewers would go in the first 3 rounds if they leave.
Yes, correct.
But let's just assume they leave for the purposes of the buy or sell. So that's 3. Tavondre Sweat, I think, definitely is a first 3 rounder.
Yes.
He is. Byron Murphy is borderline, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. That's 5.
Mitchell would be a lock. Adonai Mitchell. Adonai Mitchell would be a lock.
For a first 3 rounds?
Yeah, he's borderline first round.
Right. Hey, Travis, right now, Mitchell is I'm reversing everything that I've said about potentially having Mitchell come back. Mitchell is I think that there's a legit chance that Mitchell goes before Xavier Worthy right now.
Yeah, I think NFL teams are going to like him.
Okay.
Then
that's
we
6
we
players.
could potentially have 2 wide receivers in the first round.
Yeah.
Assuming Quinn Ewers and Jatavian Sanders are gone, that's 6. Who else is going in the first 3 rounds?
Jade Barron.
Because I don't think Jordan Whittington's not going to.
So this
Christian Jones isn't going.
So this is the list. This is the list right now, and this is what I'm honestly, and this is where I'm saying Jonathan Brooks is gone. I'm actually surprised with, and I'll be very interested to see as the mock season comes on and picks up again, because that's really when you get a consensus mocks, those are actually the consensus mock drafts. Those are pretty accurate. But right now they have Jonathan Brooks going in the 2nd round. PFF does.
I think Brooks could be a 3rd round pick.
And then Jade Barron, they also have him in the 3rd round. So if you do Jade Barron, Byron Murphy, Tavondre Sweat, Quinn Ewers, Jonathan Brooks, Jatavian Sanders, Xavier Worthy, Adonai Mitchell, that's 8 names right there.
If Jonathan Brooks goes, he could, even with the injury, he could still get drafted. I'm not buying Jade in the first 3. So I'm going to sell. I mean, you're at 8 if everything breaks right. And I don't know. Recent history tells us everything doesn't tend to break right for Texas.
Those seasons weren't college football playoff seasons.
They weren't winning seasons. I know winning helps.
Definitely closer than I thought when you originally posed the question, Nash. I think I would not project Barron for top.
It's crazy that it's possible.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
That was my entire point with this whole thing.
Absolutely, and it's a good one for that very reason.
To put this in perspective, if this happens, the most Texas has ever had in a 7-round era of the NFL draft, the most draft picks we ever had in a single year is 7. So barring, horrible injuries, I mean, it would take guys like Christian Jones going undrafted for us to not break the NFL draft record for the Texas Longhorns.
Christian Jones is going to get
drafted. Yeah. So we are potentially saying potentially, and honestly, you could even say likely, a 10+ draft season.
Yeah, but again, that's if everyone leaves. That's if Brooks leaves. That's if Ewers leaves. That's if
I think Brooks is gone.
I mean, it's possible.
I mean, if you're injured and your name's still in the second round, you go.
Yeah,
you take that.
Yeah. And he's proven. I don't know what else he could prove.
Well, and also you look at, like, we talked about how loaded this running back room is already with these guys coming in. If you add in a Jonathan Brooks, I mean, that just makes it that much more complicated. I would hate to be the run. At that point, it's like Tashard Choice might just leave just to say, I don't want to have to make that decision.
Jalen Ford, we forgot about Jalen Ford.
I don't think Ford
is a guy that PFF has him going later. They have him 109. So, Jadib, all those guys I listed, all those 8 guys, those are all top 100 guys on PFF's rank. And then also, this is important, those are being mocked in the ADP with their mock drafts that are going out from all the people that, and this also does include dweebs like me that could get to go pick things. But Jalen Ford is 195, Jordan Wellington 212, and then Catalan is obviously not. This is one thing where it probably needs to be updated a little bit. Catalan's still on there at 237, and that's not happening, obviously.
It's a good question. It was a lot better than my gut. My initial knee-jerk reaction was, "Oh my God, no way!" But it's a good question. Kudos. Hey, I'd love to get to the rest of our buy or sells, but we ain't got time. We've got a game to pick. There is college football Saturday, folks, ahead of the Heisman Trophy presentation. We get Army-Navy, the big game of the season. I love that it gets its own weekend, by the way. I love that others don't do it. This is the tail of the tape for our picks this week, this year. Not so good for yours truly. That's okay, but Aaron and Nash are battling it out for the title.
We're duking it.
But now we get to the point where it is just going to come down to sheer dumb luck. Bowl games against the spread for these schools that we don't know who cares. We don't know who's playing. I mean, I guess you could figure out who's playing if you really dig into it, but bowl games against the spread, it's such a crapshoot.
It's tough
because Aaron,
which is again why I'm advocating actually, and you guys shot me down on this. I'll go by I still think we do a separate bowl pick 'em and let the regular season be the record of moving, of choice that we crown a winner. I obviously should be in favor of that because that means I'm at least a co-champion no matter what. But you know what? We're talking about against the spread, right? Picking this is about dumb luck, right?
If we're going to pick the games, they're I want
to go 10 toes down, right? And
all right, fine,
here's
fine.
the deal. Again, I will say, this is the bowl season. This is like where you get to who's on the roster. Yeah. This is, if there ever was a crapshoot, this is it.
Yeah.
Bowl season is it. All right. But we have one final regular season game, Army versus Navy. Army are 3-point favorites. Just to set the stage here, by the way, Army is, to show how close these two teams are, Army is 10th in the nation in rushing. Navy is 14th. On total defense, Navy is 53rd, Army is 55th. They are neck and neck statistically, and that's how you get, by the way, a total of 27.5, an over-under that would make Iowa blush. So Army, Navy, 3-point favorites for Army, 27.5 total. Aaron, what you got?
Why does it have to be like this? Like, why does the total have to be in the 20s and low 30s every single year? Like, what is prohibiting Army and Navy from playing modern football? Like, we've made advances in the Army. Like, we've made advances in the Navy. Like, we've got new technology, new ideas, new strategies there. Why can't we, run modern offenses.
Do you want to know the honest reason?
They just don't have time.
They don't got the athletes.
They're not able to recruit the level of linemen that everybody else is.
Yeah, they
you
don't
can't get a Byron Murphy at the academy. You can't get the huge, even someone like Christian Jones, who was really big but bit of a project when he got on campus. Those dudes don't go to the academy.
Okay, but like,
so they have to run an offense that fits the personnel.
And even if you, Travis, even if you did, you're not like if you're sitting there preparing for, going in, like doing all the Navy and all that stuff, like you're not, the fitness that you're doing is not ideal for putting on a bunch of weight and all that stuff.
do you have to have good players to like attempt
Well,
passes?
it's not at this point.
It's bad teams in college football that like.
It's not about
you have
players.
to have a line that can actually keep your quarterback upright.
You can't. Yeah, it's just it's a weird situation.
You don't have 3 seconds in a drop back if you're in a service academy. You would get your quarterback killed.
I do kind of almost get where Aaron's coming from though, because if you look at baseball, Air Force baseball, right? They got Paul Skeens, Gulisingham, like they've had some decent players.
It's just
now,
I'm never able to watch this game. It's just brutal.
I will say this:
yeah.
If you were to run a Mike Leach style offense, where you've got wide splits with the offensive linemen, you've got fast, smaller receivers running routes, and you get the ball out quickly, you could conceivably do it. But it would be a full-on Mike Leach air raid offense. It can't be. You're not running much at all. It would be air all the time.
So to what Aaron said about how terrible this game is of a watch and just non-modern offense that's going on, I understand. Travis, he did, and I would do the same thing if I were in your shoes. You found the only positive stat that we could talk about with 11, they're 11th in the nation in rush yards per game and 16th in the nation rush yards per game, vice versa. But when it goes to yards per rush, they're both in the 70s. Both Navy is basically consistently 131 or 130 in all passing categories. Army is 131 or 132 in all passing categories. So they're just sitting there right next to each other, just near dead last. Offense, horrible. It's 124th in the nation across the board for Army, 127th and this is just
all right.
Horrible.
You know what
I'm picking Navy.
You know what I'm hearing? I'm hearing two guys who don't love our country, who are shitting on the grandest, most patriotic.
You cannot say that when I was saying "Go America," when I was pounding the table for Air Force all season long. Okay, I'm sorry. I might have a little bit of an allegiance to the Fighting Falcons. Yeah, I might have some family that was in the Air Force. Sue me. It is what it is. I still pick the Navy though.
I'm pro Army and Navy as a whole, like just on their own. Of course, I'm pro that, but I'm out on this game. I don't think I've ever watched this game. Like when you get into December, like you have to be very, especially when you have like a significant other, you have to be very smart about how you dedicate your football watching hours. Like I'm watching football 10 hours on Sunday, regardless. So like, and I've been watching football 10 hours a day every single Saturday up to this point. So, like, eventually, like, I got to pick and choose my spots. So, where if I'm going to make it a couple more months watching football on these Sundays, I've got to give something up eventually. And I am more than willing to give up the Army-Navy game on Saturday.
You know what, comrade? Some of us watch this game for more than just the beauty of the football. So there's a battle to it. There's a spirit to it. The march on alone is worth tuning in for this game. I love this game. Always have. Even before I went into the Navy, I always loved this game. And there is no way Army's going to go into Foxborough and win this game. Navy all the way. Go Navy, beat Army.
Do they play this game in Foxborough? Because this would be the Patriots' offense. They would fit in pretty well.
It's in Foxborough.
And
so
I will say, at least the one cool thing is they understand, hey, you can do. Oh yeah,
Brandon gets it. This is what I was hinting at. You got to give something up eventually.
Yeah, Aaron's trying to avoid that.
Exactly.
I will say, at least Army and Navy, they found a way. I don't know how. all the other programs that do alternate jerseys, y'all need to take some notes. Y'all just need to go study what they do. And it's where it's for the references. It's when you refer, or when you have a good reference to something, that's when you get a good alternate jersey. The only good consistent alternate jerseys that you get are from the service academies.
Yep. I love them. I do. I love everything about this game. So, guys, any final thoughts? We're running late. We got to get out of here. Anything you want to say that you want to crap on America some more, Aaron?
No, I don't know if I ever even said my pick. I'm going to take Army -3. But no, guys, like the video. We really appreciate it. It's been a fun week. It's been a week of celebration, a week of getting excited. We are not moving as fast as I thought we would. I thought it would feel closer to the game by now. I still feel like we are very far away from the game, and I don't like that. But yeah, please like the video. Really helps us out. Thank you guys for watching, as always.
Nash, parting thoughts?
Aaron just bummed me out. We're still 3 weeks away from the game.
Yeah, it's December 8th. I was like,
I know, but we just survived 1 week without it. So
yes.
Listen, we'll be right back here Monday. We got a lot more to talk about. There's things always come up. So, there's going to be a lot of good football to talk about. We still have more on the game. We'll still break down. We still have a lot. We haven't even begun to go over Washington's defense, really. We looked at their offense a little. There's a lot still to come. There's still a lot to come on OB Live today, including Anwar's Old-Fashioned Sports Show, which is coming up next, followed by House Divided with Jeff Ketchum and Chad Hastings, and, of course, Football with Friends with Alex Dunlap. A lot of good football talk still to be had, so do us a favor, hit that like button right now, and hit the subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss anything. And if you really don't want to miss anything, click that notification bell. That way you can know when the shows pop up, and you could potentially be the first in the Specs chat line. For Nash from Texas, who loves talking them horns, and Aaron's Little from Orange Bloods, I am Travis Gailey. Have a fantastic Go Navy weekend.